Hedera has fully connected itself with some of the biggest enterprises out there. And this is something that's going almost unnoticed around this space because most of the people in this space right now, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, only care about the price action. And I get it, right? Like we want the price to go up on HBAR. We want to get rich. We want to get wealthy. But I also want you guys to understand the path to that. When we're talking about insane wealth creation, where HBAR is just worth massive amounts of money. That all comes from major adoption, major, moves being made around the enterprise side of things because enterprises bring in the users, bring in the, massive amounts of money that we have yet to actually see touch this space. And when I say that, it's because enterprise grade adoption has yet to actually happen the way that we want it to. But I do believe that that's all changing with Hedera. So with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's dive on in because Davos is officially happening. And this is with the GBB Council. And this is their blockchain central event during Davos, sponsored by Hedera. Now, Hashgraph's CEO was there. And GBBC's head of research was also there, exploring in a fireside chat scaling enterprise-grade tokenization opportunities and challenges. Now, this is very interesting. Now, when we look into the GBBC, they recently put out a post on January 20th. And this was on the cusp of mass-scale convergence. And if we look into this, let me zoom in so that you guys can see it. 2024 marked a transformative year for blockchain as the convergence of emerging technologies demonstrated potential across industries, including supply chain, finance, and sustainability. On top of this, public and private collaborations were pivotal in driving progress, showcasing how partnerships can accelerate blockchain's integration into critical sectors and deliver tangible value. Global Blockchain Business Council is pleased to release our 2024 annual report showcasing the scope of our various initiatives and our members' work from 2024 as organizations had the opportunity to bring blockchain into the limelight. Now, what's crazy about this is we're starting to see a lot of these moves being made right now around the regulatory side of things. That's important because regulations are one of the largest obstacles to mass adoption of this tech. Banks are waiting for regulations. Enterprises are waiting for regulations. Even some retail users, and I wouldn't even say some, I would say majority of them are waiting for regulations. They want guardrails in place before they go all in. And as we really look at 2025 looks as though it's going to be the year where we do get regulations for the space, which is going to promote a lot of growth around the adoption side. Now, Hedera has been a part of the GBBC for a very long time. And the GBBC actually has multiple programs. You can actually look at all of their initiatives, for an example. They have all of these, major key initiatives, but these are all of the working groups. For an example, if we actually look at the working groups, you have the Global Standards Mapping Initiative, and then you also have the Interwork Alliance, then the US Blockchain Coalition, and Hedera is a part of almost all of this. Hedera is well connected with the GBBC. They've been working on a few concepts with them as well. But as we really look at a lot of these standards, like these are all to actually embed DLT within specific, industries like the supply chain finance, for an example, sustainability, digital identity, AI convergence, like all of this, the GBBC is actually working on. And then when you look at the Interwork Alliance, there's some pretty big names tied to that. And then you have, of course, the US Blockchain Coalition, which, by the way, Hedera is tied back to. And with, what's happening right now in the US with this Trump administration, it seems as though we're about to witness some pretty big moves being made around embracing and even adopting some of these technologies. But why is the GBBC such a big name? Well, it's because, and I've talked about this in the past, it's because of how many institutional players are tied to this. 500 institutional members. And if we're thinking about that, imagine how many big enterprises are tied back to the GBBC. In fact, we know that Accenture is one of them. Accenture is an absolute giant when it comes to enterprises. You can look them up if you want, but they're tied back to thousands of massive companies, enterprises, institutions, you name it. But 500 institutional members are tied back to the GBBC that are looking to adopt and drive blockchain technology. We even have here that the organization is dedicated to furthering adoption of blockchain technology by convening regulators, business leaders, and global change makers to foster collaboration and advance dialogue to create more secure, equitable, and functional societies. Now, over here, we got another big move being made by Hedera. Almost all of these moves are to accelerate the adoption of DLT. Here we are thrilled to announce our strategic partnership with Taurus, a global leader in digital asset infrastructure, to accelerate the adoption of Hedera's DLT. This collaboration integrates HBAR, Hedera's native cryptocurrency, and the Hedera token service into Taurus's platform, enabling secure custody, staking, and tokenization for regulated financial institutions. Institutional DeFi initiatives through tokenization are underway on Hedera. This is very exciting. And we have over here the full-on announcement. Now you can see that this is all around secure custody, staking, and tokenizing. But also, if we actually look at a few things, so we have the enablements around institutions and even enterprises. This is for financial institutions, making the ecosystem more accessible to banks and enterprises globally. Europe has taken the lead on this, with MiCA providing clear guidelines for digital assets in the region, eliminating any regulatory uncertainty that can come with markets like the US. And then here we have Hedera's push into key global markets. The partnership focuses on Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, and Africa stems from a regulatory perspective, but from an institutional standpoint as well. It instills more confidence to invest in the ecosystem. We want individuals and corporations alike to confidently engage with the Hedera ecosystem, something that we know we can ensure against the regulatory backdrop of these regions. Partnerships like this benefit both parties in making their presence known in these regions. Now, also, the co-founder and managing partner of Taurus said that where regulatory frameworks have been clarified or are on the verge of being established, partnership, they want to expand in those regions essentially with this partnership. Now we also have tokenization challenges. So they're talking about the challenges around just tokenization in general. The challenges that they have to offset, right? Like the off-chain challenges. It requires balancing to maintain consistency for this extremely complex process. Underdeveloped regulatory frameworks and global fragmentation of regulation is a big risk associated with tokenizing RWAs, not just with Hedera, but on any DLT or blockchain, which can give rise to questions about ownership and legal protections. This is why I say in the US, like when we really look at what's happening in the US around regulations and regulatory moves, it's going to open up a massive door of opportunity for a lot of these networks like Hedera to be adopted by these big players more easily. But Taurus is a huge player. I think that a lot of people overlook this. I remember when they just recently partnered up with Stellar, and even then I was looking into this company. I'm like, this is actually going to be a big player. First and foremost, they did launch back in 2018 as a regulated digital asset exchange. They have 35 plus clients, 20 plus protocols, tokenization protocols in terms of 9, 70% engineers as well. Now we can look at some of the players that are already tapped in. We have Google here. This is who they've worked for, by the way, like PwC, McKinsey and Company, P&G, some pretty big names here. Now in terms of like partnerships and stuff, I couldn't find a full list of like partnerships or anything like that, but if you actually look at the tech and solution side for things, we have some of the names tied back to them in terms of like cloud providers, core banking. Like Temenos is a huge name. Finova is a pretty big name as well. On the right side, you have like, just cloud providers, which I don't really focus on cloud providers that much. Like in the past, like I know that a lot of people said like, oh, it's Amazon Web Services. That means that Amazon's a partner. No, these are just cloud providers that don't mean too much. But down here we have partners and associations, and this is where you can see like Thales and MasterCard. So Thales, a lot of people don't know about this, but Thales is a massive name in the financial side of things. And then of course MasterCard, everyone knows MasterCard. But look up Thales if you haven't already. a substantial name around finance. But I'm actually very excited about this because I do think that this is very beneficial for Hedera, and it's going to expand a lot of access to Hedera through the institutional side, the enterprise side as well. But also, remember that even with Chainlink, institutional DeFi is going to be boosted and scaled with Hedera. All of this stuff is to scale the, DLT side of things. They want to bring in a lot more adoption around HTS and the actual token itself. I'm very excited about all of this because, again, it's all about scale. How can we scale enterprise grade tokenization, right? That's what we are seeing even over here from the GBBC. So very interesting. I do think that 2025 is going to be the year where we do start to see a lot of scalability, or I shouldn't even say scalability, but I think a lot of these use cases scaling, right? Now, also, remember that Hedera did join the Linux Foundation's new decentralized trust initiative, right? This is with, it's Hiro. I know that a lot of people said like it's Hero, Hero, it doesn't really matter. The big thing to focus on here is how many enterprises are tied back to this. Because again, if we're talking about enterprises wanting to tokenize, they want to push this forward. Remember that the Hedera token service itself, in terms of the tokenization studio that they launched, because this is all through the HTS service anyways, this is fully compliant with the SEC regulations in the US. So it's fully compliant, fully regulated, which means that a lot of these large institutions, these enterprises, they can actually leverage this. And you guys can see the regulations here being tapped in. This is what it looks like. Any enterprise, any big institutional player can utilize this. And I bring this up because if we actually go over here from Zepsi, Hedera is part of the governing board of the Linux Foundation, decentralized, a project of Linux Foundation, one of the largest open source communities in the world. LFD has 110,000 plus participants across its meetups, held in 80 plus countries, and Hero, again, however you guys want to pronounce it, the code base of Hedera is one of the core projects of the LFD. Do you realize how hard we're about to cook in 2025 HBAR fam? And here you have all of those names, right? Now, again, these are just a few, okay? These are just a few. And when you look at this list, okay, you're noticing a big focus on enterprises. I brought up Accenture before because they're tied back to the GBBC as well. Again, thousands of enterprises tied into Accenture. Just one name, by the way, which is crazy. But outside of that, you have the DTCC settling $3 quadrillion worth of securities, major name. Hitachi, enterprise player. A lot of enterprise players actually are on this list. Like, for example, you have T-Mobile down there, enterprise player. A lot of trade finance players on here as well, but then you have some other well-known brands. I mean, if we're thinking about this, just like one integration, that's all it really takes. What do I mean by that? Well, Accenture, it kind of takes me back to like Finastra with Ripple, right? Like Ripple has a connection. They have a partnership with Finastra. Finastra has 9,000 institutions and banking players tied to it. Okay, just one name. 9,000 players tied to it. Ripple has a partnership with them to offer cloud-based payments to all of their clients. 9,000. When it comes to Hedera, with a name like this, again, let's go back over here. It has 110,000 plus participants in its meetups, which is huge exposure. But then when you look at the names behind it, I mean, guys, there's well over 100 plus names tied back to this. And yes, there is a lot of blockchain-based players like the Enterprise, Ethereum Alliance. You have Ripple on here. You have, Stellar on here. I get that, but the amount of possible enterprises and institutions that could be tapped in to Hedera Tech through this is very substantial. Again, it's very clear that Hedera is building out a massive path to substantial enterprises, institutions. I am very focused on the future for Hedera because it is very bright. So with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.